realize that this U.S. Supreme Court ruled that you do not, and it is not a privilege of your freedoms to film us, right? You realize.
Hey. Welcome. Are you open-minded or are you closed-minded? Welcome. Oh, you saw something I didn't want you to see yet. I've had some emails come in, had some questions being answered on me. So this evening, I am placing, the question is, inquiring minds want to know, are you open or are you closed-minded? When someone makes an analogy, somebody makes a statement, do you immediately go to the right? Opposite to the right? Where your mind's locked up and chained up and mind's made up, tell me what you're going to tell me. Or are you inquiring? Are you one of those inquiring, inquisitive minds saying, well, there's always two sides to a coin, isn't there? Warning. You may get triggered by what I'm going to tell you. But if the shoe fits, wear it. Are you open or are you closed-minded, y'all? Yes, I'm medicated. I've got some folks that have asked me, you did stuff with the military canine back in the day. I showed you a little bit here. But let me show you, give you a little. Now, yeah, I was a canine dude. And that right there was me and one of three dual qualified Dobermans in the U.S. Air Force inventory at the time, certified for patrol and narcotics. Red and me, I was a sergeant. You see the three stripes on the arm there. I think you can see that right there. Look how sharply crisp that sleeve is. Now, for you air buffs, this was in the mid-'80s. I still had my jungle fatigue, or my jungle boots and jungle fatigues from when I was overseas. So those are good old jungle boots. Kept those for the longest damn time. And then there's Panama Red. This dog was good. He was about 100 pounds or so, had a bad bite. Just one of those dogs that, it's like good to have. I mean, he had my back. He was just a good animal. His bite, pretty bad. But this was interesting because this was in the past, obviously. This was something that I wanted to do for the rest of my career. But because of my disability, I couldn't. Now, if you notice how my neck is, my hand's on the back of the dog. I got the leash in the hand. And I'm kind of looking down with the eye cocked to the dog. 2 months later, I was medically retrained out of being law enforcement. The person who wrote this article for the San Antonio Express, I believe, back in the day, didn't understand base security police force. Well, yeah, you could call a base security police force or law enforcement side of everything has been changed. So we were the military police for the base. And I was one of a handful of, I was the only guy, obviously, as the article read, that had a Doberman. I was fortunate enough to handle him. And he had a good nose on him. I mean, the dog could find drugs anywhere, anyhow. And he was fairly accurate. I mean, he probably out of 8 out of 10 hits, he'd hit 8 out of 10, if I remember my numbers right. And we kept records, yipper. Weather conditions, we kept all that stuff. But getting back, here I am. You see my neck. I can't raise my neck up. I have a fused neck. So 2 months later, I was medically retrained after this picture was taken. Enjoyed the dog, had him for a while. Just absolutely enjoyed being around him and what have you. Now, that's just to validate a little bit, guys. This is what I did years ago. My last 4 years of the military or the Air Force, I was in the education field. So, I got to help people with their military education and their civilian education up to and including their PhDs. So I was in that arena for the last 4 years because of my disability that I was able to, power through for the first 5 years of my career. Spent a lot of hours behind dogs, multiples of dogs over the years. So we all have questions about things. And I want to, I've used this chat GPT for the good reason, but let me show you something. I'm going to show you a picture. That right there is me. I can't remember, in the 90s, I think, early 90s. This is my buddy Raj. He passed away last year. He came to this country with literally nothing in his pocket and a family, and ended up owning multiples of convenience stores, and he did stuff up in the New Jersey market. But that picture, if memory serves me, is when we walked out of his citizenship swearing in, and he was excited to see his red, white, and blue tie on. He wasn't. He said, "I'm responsible for his ties." And I remember when he was being signed in, the GS employee who signed him in was extremely rude and short and really disrespected him. And I pretty much got 10-8 in that person's stuff, and pretty much got in their face and just told them how the cow eats the cabbage, and I wasn't polite about it. And they apologized. And I got the supervisor involved because here we have a U.S. citizen being sworn in, and he's being treated like trash. They even misspelled his name on purpose. And his last name's not hard to spell. So it's like, oh, give me a break. But he and I, even though we knew each other for 30 plus years, politically we were on the same page. Business wise, we weren't on the same page. He ran a different kind of business than I did. He ran the retail side of a market. I ran a marketing company where I had a lot of business owners like him in business with me. And we became close. I knew his children where they were in high school, for goodness sakes. Now they've got kids of their own. And he passed away last year from a disease that just took a while for him to pass on. But he was totally cognizant. His wife died from dementia, and just a wonderful couple. But here's the thing: he and I never saw eye to eye. Now, even though he'd been a broker for a hell of a lot longer, he was a broker for 25 years in the real estate sector. The way he handled business was totally different because he's an Asian Indian, and the Asian Indians in his era, his time frame, just do business differently when it comes to real estate. You got to do the contracts, obviously, but how the negotiation, how things are done is a cultural significance. So I had to learn, and that's the key. I want you guys and gals to think about. Are you open or closed-minded to someone's viewpoints? Are you so dyed in the wool that my mind's made up, tell me what you're going to tell me? Or are you open-minded? Inquiring minds want to know, because I'm going to give you this question. I heard an attorney, combat first sergeant, Army first sergeant, turned Texas attorney, made a comment today. Evidently, there was this guy here in Texas, Texas sheepdog, had some charges, and I haven't followed, this guy Jack Miller, Texas sheepdog, much at all. But his attorney got on and was pretty adamant and made some questions, about what's going on with this guy's case. But he really, evidently, there'd been somebody in the 1A community who started, accusing Jack and accepting viewpoints of other people without actually knowing, I guess, what they were talking about. If you don't know and you don't have the pictures and you make an analogy of somebody of what they've done and you have no proof and you're just relying on hearsay, you're not doing your investigation. Are you open or closed-minded? So he was getting on some people's case. about if are you a true constitutionalist? So I got started asking some questions. In fact, I got an email, and a person asked me about different things. So I asked ChatGPT a question, and I want you to let me just put this puppy on here. I asked ChatGPT about voting. There are people within the 1A community in different areas, and I've talked to a lot of people that are, anti-government, which is perfectly acceptable. Whatever you want to do is whatever you want to do. You know, no skin off my nose. I told the story maybe last time around where I was a Vietnam vet I met in Florida. And as I say to all my veterans, I said, hey, welcome back. And, good to have you back, buddy. And, I had my veteran hat on, so he knew I was a vet. But this guy come out of the car just absolutely off his meds. I mean, the guy hated everything about the VA, hated everything about the U.S. government. This is a man who parked a brand new Escalade in a handicap parking spot, had his disabled vet plates on it. And he came out screaming at me when I said, hey, welcome back, brother. So I listened to him a little bit and I said, well, damn, guy, if you hate America that bad, if you hate what you got going on, give back your money. Turn away your disability benefits and all your insurances that you've earned. Hello? You can't speak out of two sides of your face. I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, but you take their money. Just like these kids hate capitalism, but yet they're using $1,400 iPhones. What a bunch of nimnods. Just never makes sense to me. But I asked ChatGPT a question. Here you are, holding others accountable, as I do, to the letter of law. I do things my way. You do things your way. If you've heard me say before, I don't plan on going out and getting arrested. I take some folks' advice. The guys who've given me advice, you know who you are. And very simply put, I hear guys really, let's hold these people accountable to the letter of the Constitution, to that article, to that, to that amendment. Yet, I ask this question. Does the Constitution give us the explicit right to vote? What amendments are there that handle that? Let me show you this. I found this kind of interesting. As you can see here, what's it say? The Constitution does not explicitly grant the right, but what it does, 1817, the 15th Amendment, prohibits the denial of the right to vote based on race, color, or previous condition of servitude. The 19th Amendment grants women's suffrage. The suffrage event went by. 24th Amendment, passed in 64, prohibits the use of poll taxes in federal elections. 26th Amendment lowers the voting age to 18 to all U.S. citizens. All U.S. citizens. Let me say that again. All U.S. citizens. That don't mean these idiots just flowing across the border willy-nilly and say they're going to vote in my country. Any country I've ever been, I can't vote in their elections if I'm a foreigner. Come on, give me a break. Don't get me started. Won't be a Kodak moment. I'm medicated. So let's do this a step further. I asked another question. If a person who advocates for the adherence to the U.S. Constitution but refuses to vote, what kind of a person is that? Now, I want you to think about what I've been saying all along. What was that? What is it? Are you open-minded or are you closed-minded? Are you open to more data or not? But what was the answer? This is kind of interesting. See, I've always been, hey, science is always a two-way street. If you're going to say there's enough, there's always a down. There's always an opposite there's a plus and a minus. Now, for you math guys out there, you get into the equations, you get into all that other stuff, forget about it. Not interested. Okay, but here's the answers. If you advocate for someone else to adhere to the Constitution or the tenets of the Constitution, but you refuse to vote? What could you be called? Well, let's see, a constitutionalist. This term refers to someone who strictly adheres to the principles of the U.S. Constitution. If they refuse to vote, it may be because they believe the current political system does not align with their constitutional principles. You'd be considered a constitutionalist. Good for you. Or you're a non-voter. Simply put, this is a person who does not participate in voting, regardless of advocacy for constitutional adherence. The third one, this is ChatGPT, political abstentionist. This person describes someone who abstains from voting as a form of a political statement, possibly due to disillusionment with the available candidates or the political or the electoral process itself. Fourth, principled non-voter. Figure that one out for yourself. Pretty much self-discriminatory. And then the fifth one is hypocrite. This is a critical term used for someone whose actions, refusing to vote, contradict their stated beliefs, advocating for a constitutional adherence, implying a discrepancy between their words and actions. So, this is not me talking. It's not me. Who is it? That's ChatGPT, and ChatGPT isn't all that, I understand. Okay? But which one are you going to go to? Which one? You know, there's five terms. If you refuse to vote, then you're a constitutionalist. You could be a non-voter. You could be a political abstentionist, or you could become a principled non-voter, or you're just basically a hypocrite. So whichever of those five things you fit into. This is what I think is so fun. Yes, I am medicated. It is funny for me. What would cause somebody? You know, it always just astounds me. And I have traveled the world. This is a guy who's traveled the world. Oh my God. People say they hate the government. They hate what it stands for. Yet they get on the YouTube channels and start playing around in the 1A community, and these other communities actually, make all these bloody statements, but their words don't align with their actions. Go figure, man. This is just, to me, I thought it was kind of funny. It was so apropos that C.J. Grisham came out in a video he was doing when he was driving. He was pretty hot. But he made a comment. Somebody in the 1A community, I don't have who they are, made some comments about this guy, Jack Miller, this Texas sheepdog, and without knowing the facts. And he got me to thinking about people that are just saying, I'm staunch this, and yet their actions don't align with their words. So I'm at the age right now, I just kind of chuckle at the idiocy of that. You know, it's just like the guy coming out of the car hollering at me when I said, welcome back, brother, Vietnam era vet. And this man drove a brand new Escalade, getting VA plates, getting plates for the state for disability, collecting his cash and its benefits, and just screaming how he hates the government. I wish I'd have had a camera there, because that would have been the Kodak moment for anybody to say. So, are you open or are you closed-minded to someone else's opinions about stuff?